Morning, everyone. Wow, such a full house. Okay, thank you for joining this session. I can't find a mic here, but I'm hoping you can hear me. I don't have the loudest voice. I'm hoping you can hear me. Great. How's it going? Is anyone enjoying the warm weather? How's it been? Too hot?
No, it's just right.
It's just right? Yeah, I love it. I'm loving it. Okay, so we're here to talk about scams, sextortions, and Snapchats, right? And it's all about keeping Gen Alpha safe in a digital Wild West. But before we start, let me just introduce myself briefly. My name is Adaora Uche. I'm a GRC lead at THG PLC, and I spearhead initiatives in governance, risk, and compliance within the Information Security Department. My background is tech, bachelor's, master's, cloud and network security from University of Bolton. That's about it. Okay, so let's delve right into today's topic. I think the most unique thing about this topic is that we are in an age where the Gen Alpha, does anybody have an idea? The age range for Gen Alpha, children born between nobody?
2010 to 2025. So is it?
Perfected. Yes, 2010 to 2025. So these are our young kids and our teenagers. And as we go along with this topic for today, we will get to see why this is very important. I'm looking at, the faces here, and I'm seeing that there are likely parents here as well who may have teenagers and young kids. I'm a mom as well, and, when I was putting forth a proposal for this topic, some of the things I found were very scary, and we will delve into that. So now, the Gen Alpha, 2010 to 2025, it's a very unique generation. They're very different from us. Some of us I grew up in Nigeria, and I don't know how it was growing up here, but back in the day, we did not have TV services until 4 p.m., for instance. I don't know if it was similar here. It was also perfect. So we couldn't watch TV until 4 p.m., and then they will start with news, which is boring to us as kids. Then they'll start with the cartoons for 2 hours only, and that was it. And now we live in a generation where, right from when kids are born, they are dealing with these mobile devices that are connecting them to the entire world. So, like I said here, while we're learning to tie our shoes, kids were learning to swipe screens. But behind those confident fingers lies a vulnerability that predators know how to exploit. And if you're like me, I'm not too far off. I'm a millennial. But the way modern technology is moving is too fast-paced for me. Even in information security, we are struggling to keep up, right? So you can imagine, for parents, a lot of us that are parents, you've got your busy lives, work, having to, you hold several roles within the society, your community. You're having to parent, especially if they are young. That demand and that pressure sometimes can be a bit too much. So the seemingly beautiful option of those screens are sometimes a relief, if we'll confess. To me, I know it is. Am I the only one that feels that way? Come on, you guys, tell me, say the truth. Is it sometimes a relief to just have the kids, be on their devices? Yeah, true. Okay, so sextortion. So the topic is scams, sextortions, and Snapchats. I mean, the name speaks for itself, but I'm just going to try to be basic. Does anyone want to, share what they may know about sextortion? Do you know any particular case? Go on, tell me.
I work in a school and we are dealing with this right now. So a teacher that was working with us suddenly was not working with us, and we have finally found out little bits because it's gone to court this week. And we've got at least 20 students that have been involved with him getting in touch with them face to face, taking it to social medias, pushing the boundaries a little bit, and just seeing how far he can get away with it. And there's at least 6 that now I look after their counselling to get them through what they're dealing with.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Is this within a primary school or secondary school? Wow. Does anybody else want to say something about this? Please go ahead.
Someone tried to do it to me. Yeah. Someone managed to get hold of my nudes and then tried to blackmail me into giving them money. Otherwise, they'd send it to my parents and my employer, to which I found that very funny and said, okay, do it, and reported them to the police. They did, and my parents' response was, well, I saw them as a kid, it's just kind of bigger now. So luckily, I knew that if it got sent through, I wouldn't face much backlash. But I've helped a couple of people because it happened to me. I've been contacted by quite a few people who come to me to help them through it as well. And 9 times out of 10, the people just want something from you. They're not really going to pull the trigger. But it's those 1% where they actually do it and just picking up the pieces after that. It's a messy situation.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I'm so glad you were able to handle that with bravery.
It was an interesting conversation with my employer, I've got to say. But it was, everyone understood what it was happening. I feel like when I was younger, it was a lot less known of a thing, and it's becoming more and more, like, people are getting more and more knowledgeable about it, and I think that's very important. I think people knowing about it is half the battle, because then when it happens, you're not blaming the victim, you're helping them. I think that's a really important thing to bring up, is, like, not to go after the people who are actually being victimized in the situation.
Thank you so much. I feel like this was a very concise masterclass. There were so many things she said, that I'm going to touch on as well. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. So sextortion is a scam, and I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
I'm not going into detail, but my daughter, you might have heard of it, the app Wiz.
Wiz.
Yeah, a friend of ours was basically like the dating app for
kids.
So they don't have any verification, so you get people of all ages on there pretending to be kids, and then it's also used for a lot of this.
Yeah, so there's so many unique ones. We know of Snapchat, WhatsApp, any social media platform can be used for sextortion. While we may not be able to fully catch up with all the apps that are out there, my goal or objective is to help us identify, the telltale signs that indicate that our young ones are in trouble. So according to a report from USA Today, they describe sextortion as the fastest growing cybercrime targeting children in North America. And most of the people that the age range is usually between 13 to 17. Sadly, it has been connected to at least 30 deaths of teenage boys. When I was doing my research, what struck me was that sextortion in the UK as well, not just the US, those nefarious individuals target teenage boys for some reason. Weird reason, I don't understand, but yeah. And it has led to the deaths of so many teenage boys. I'm going to share 2 stories with us, and the hope is to make us further understand. Do you mind sharing your name? Sorry. Jen. So Jen was able to overcome that, but unfortunately, some people have paid the ultimate price. So on the screen there are some teenage boys in the US, all dead now as a result of sextortion, between the same age group, 13 to 17. One of the boys on there is James Woods, a teenager in Ohio. He was only 17. He had just gotten his driver's license. He had just taken his senior photo before the week he was extorted. He was an athlete, and he was not just any athlete. He was the one to beat when it came to the 100 meters hurdle. So, how did it happen? The predator falsely told him he would face jail time for sending nude photographs. So he had, established communication with James, pretending to be a teenage girl, and sent, nude photographs of the girl to James and requested his own nudes, which he sent. And shortly after that, in fact, the report says it took 19 hours, within 19 hours of that exchange, James had committed suicide. What did they do? Immediately he sensed that they started to blackmail him, and they had sent him more than 200 messages demanding for money. You can imagine asking a 17-year-old boy to give you $5,000. Where's he going to get that from? And then he paid what he could pay, but they kept bombarding him, telling him he could go to jail for sending nude photographs. Ridiculous, but these kids don't know any better. And out of fear, he shot himself in the head. There's so many cases like that, and it was such a sad incident. His mom said they eliminated his desire for a future. The poor boy did not know he was a victim. There is another teenager, Ryan Last. He was 17 as well. He was a straight A student, Boy Scout from San Jose, California. And he received a message on a school night in February 2022. Now, the crazy thing about these 2 cases, James was in May 2022. Ryan was February 2022. So he received a message from someone who he believed to be a girl. The online perpetrator sent him a romantic picture of a young female and asked for one of him in return. Immediately after Ryan shared an intimate photo of his own, they demanded $5,000 from him, threatening to make the photo public. And within hours, Ryan took his life as well. So this is something that is very vital, and it's important we begin to be aware and take proactive steps to protect our young ones. Here I have some statistics about the numbers of real case incidents. And it shows us that this is something that is growing. As you look at that, I'm just going to share some other stats. From October 2021 to March 2023, the FBI and Homeland Security received more than 13,000 reports of online financial sextortion of minors. That's in the US. So here we don't really have. I tried to, find similar reports in the UK, but I really couldn't get like such figures. But I mean, if it's happening in the US, it's happening in the UK, as we know. It's happening all over the world, and we'll be surprised at the numbers. Imagine 13,000 teenagers. That is probably that's probably like a postcode. Likely. According to the FBI, these schemes involved at least 12,600 victims who were primarily boys and resulted in at least 20 suicides. So we talked about Gen Alpha, and we said they're between 2010 to 2025. But let's just learn more about this unique generation. Now, this generation, they've never known an analog world. They don't know a world without being online. Everything is instant to them. Smartphones, smart devices in the house, Internet of Things. And unlike some of us I'm not very online, I'm not always online, but they're always online. Their games are online, unlike the times when we play card games, board games. Everything is online for them. They seem technically skilled. You'll be amazed at what a 4-year-old can do on a smart device. And you're wondering how they learned that. Sometimes they know how to use the devices more than we do. But are they really prepared for the danger that lurks behind? They're not. Snapchat records over 750 million daily active users. TikTok reports that an average user spends 95 minutes daily. So, I reckon that 95 minutes are probably for the millennials and backwards. I believe that the younger ones spend much more time, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they spend much more time because, they don't really have to go to work or pay much bills. So, definitely spend more than 95 minutes. Like I mentioned, gaming platforms, Discord, Roblox, Minecraft, social spaces disguised as games. I don't know if anyone here has a child that uses Roblox. Have you ever gone on Roblox to see what happens there? I was surprised the day I went on Roblox and I saw some strange people chatting with my child, a 6-year-old, and I'm like, okay, this is not safe. You shouldn't be talking to anyone. So everything for them is online, and they meet all sorts of people online. That 6-year-old was probably thinking he was talking to another child, but he probably was not. We'll never know. There's no way of knowing. So I had to, block all of that. Instagram. Everybody loves Instagram. The stories, DMs, all of that. And the need to be online, to have an online presence is such a big thing now that it ties into our identities as human beings. How many followers you have, how many likes you get on your posts, those things matter. We may look at it as a generation that lived in an analog, semi-analog world and say, doesn't really matter, but to them it matters. There are instances where people say, we see some teenagers being sad, and you're asking what's wrong, and they're saying, nobody ever likes my pictures or photos on social media. And as a parent, there's a temptation to say, it doesn't matter. They don't understand that. And that's just the truth. Their validation, I'm not going to use the word sadly because it's just a different generation, but their validation comes from social media as well. So that's just to, bring us to truly understand what is in the mind of a Gen Alpha. It's all about being online. They can't live in a world where there is no internet. I don't think they'll be able to cope. So let me share another part of my story. So growing up in Nigeria, for instance, sometimes we had power issues. And not every family was well-to-do, was financially able to have standby generators. So sometimes you have to stay without power. And I'm trying to picture Gen Alpha staying without the internet for a day. Oh my God, parents are going to run crazy because I don't even know what it's going to look like for them. They'll probably feel very bereft. But yeah, it's a real thing. So we're going to look at how these predators hunt our young ones. But before I do that, I want to share another popular story that made waves here in the UK. There was a lecturer in Birmingham, Matthew Falder. I don't know if anyone remembers that case. Okay, so he represents one of the most significant sextortion cases here in the UK. And at Birmingham Crown Court in February 2018, the judge sentenced him to 32 years in prison, describing him as an internet highwayman who was warped and sadistic. He was a former Birmingham University academic who abused and blackmailed more than 40 victims online. So you said the person in your school had already abused more than 20. Predators establish trust and quickly steer the conversation towards sexual topics. They could come by, giving compliments to whoever they're chatting with, something to make that person feel safe. If we remember, this is a generation that is also seeking a lot of validation. They come and, they pay compliments. Who doesn't love compliments? I love a good compliment. We all do, because it's that, I call it an investment into our self-esteem bank. They pay compliments. They've done their social engineering very well. They choose your targets. They pay compliments. Oh, you're such a great athlete. Oh, you're so smart. I saw your word. And then they also build a connection by finding mutual ground. For instance, they could say that we have a shared friend, and they just form normal conversation and act like your best buddy. And then before you know it, they are trying to move towards sexual topics, talking about sexual topics, which, to be candid, we're all teenagers. Everyone finds that to be really cool. Because it's a new world that a lot of teenagers are trying to explore. So the opportunity to have such conversations or see such photos is always exciting to a teenager. They introduce that, and then they move on to chats. They usually use social media platforms such as Snapchat, Wheeze, like someone rightly mentioned, WhatsApp, private text messages, to build that, one-to-one connection. And then it begins. The minute they are able to get that nude photo, the blackmail begins, and it never ends. And they do it with a sense of urgency. So here, I painted 3 scenarios, because I know I've been talking just about sex, but it's not just about sex. There are other ways that they try to perpetrate their crimes. So meet Tyler, 16-year-old football player with 2,000 followers on Snapchat. Like I said, initial contact, you played amazing, I saw your game. After spending some time with conversations and shared interests, they ask for a picture. It's just between us, and no one's going to see it anyway. It'll disappear. They take a screenshot. I know that WhatsApp, for instance, something I'm supposed to talk about later, but yeah, WhatsApp has this feature, online safety privacy feature, that doesn't let you take certain screenshots. But they could use another phone anyway. Yeah. So screenshot taken, the threats begin. Pay me the money, or I send it to everyone you know. I'll send it to your schoolmates. There's also the gaming grift. Oh, like I mentioned, Roblox. You can have a free Roblox generator. Just put in your details. The goal is not just money. They want to steal your data as well. So And the truth is, it's actually a fake profile, AI generated. Then let's go to private chat. I have something special for you. And then they begin to push the boundaries of the conversation, ask for photos, and then the blackmail begins. There's also the influencer personation. For instance, meet Jake. He's 15 years old. He's a content creator. And the attacker comes to say, I've got this grand partnership opportunity. You'll be perfect for our campaign. And then he already feels popular. Jake feels popular. Jake, at the same time, is looking to make money. Who doesn't want cool money as a teenager? So you can do all the stuff you want without having to receive lectures or talk so much to get the money from mom and dad. Yeah. So they set up everything. It looks good. Set up fake contracts, and they ask for bank detail payments. They've stolen the identity. They've stolen the account details, and they go on to carry out the scam. To some of us, it may look like I mentioned earlier, I know better than that. And the truth is, thankfully, some parents prepare their children, maybe not necessarily against sextortions or online scams, but just preparing them for life, affirming them. For instance, Jen, right? Is he okay?
Yeah. Sorry.
I want to believe you came, from home, your parents had affirmed you that there was nothing you'll do wrong that will make us ashamed of you or deny you. Possibly.
Not quite, but yeah, my relationship with my parents is rocky, to say the least. But when it came to this, I took a gamble on that in hopes that they would be on my side, and it just happened that they were.
Thanks for sharing. So sometimes, even from the home, the kind of environment we create at home, helps our young ones. Some people are just brave and valiant like that, who, can tell you, do what you want, I don't care, even though my kid wants. Yeah, just that bravery. But majority of these young ones are not. They're very vulnerable, and these people take advantage of their need for instant satisfaction, instant gratification, because we live in a generation where these kids want everything now. They don't understand the need to wait, because everything they interact with is instant. So they don't understand the need to wait. So these people take advantage of that. Peer validation addiction, I've mentioned that as well. Followership, likes and streaks means a lot to this generation. Anonymity illusion, thinking, it's just my account, no one really knows what's going on there, not knowing that the internet is one big open space. Digital invincibility, this one. Sometimes they know how to use some of these tools more than we do, so they feel that they are tech savvy. You may be tech savvy, but you may not be prepared for online scammers that have more experience than you. You might be tech savvy, and you may have your own intentions, but every time we interact with people, they also have their motives and intentions, which we do not know. They're oblivious to that. So you may know about yourself, but unfortunately, you may not know about the next person. So they feel, I've got it covered. I can't fall for a scam. Probably because they also feel like scams are in a certain way. But these scammers know exactly the psychology of the people they are trying to scam. Manipulation techniques, love bombing, overwhelming with attention and compliments, like the case of Ryan, where he was complimented so much about, the things he was great at, athletics, all of that, just to build that connection, just to make him feel safe, just to make him feel validated. Isolation, this is just between us. Everybody loves a kind of safe space, but unfortunately, these people take advantage of that. Normalization, I I believe that most teenagers feel it's cool to share pictures of themselves, sexy pictures of themselves. And it's a normal thing. It's not something strange. Urgency. So when they begin to scam or sextort, they apply urgency to it. Like in the case of the first case I read, the boy had received 200 messages, 200 text messages in a short time, telling him to send the money. I mean, they try to do it in such a way that you won't have the time to think. You won't have the time to reach out for help because they're bombarding you with that message. There's a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it now. You better send the money now. Shame weaponization. Their reputation will be ruined. One of the guys that was killed, they told him that committed suicide. They told him he will never be able to get into college, and for him, it was a big deal. The ripple effects for cases that do not lead to suicide. It affects your academic performance because these kids begin to live in anxiety, social withdrawal from family and friends, and these are some of the, telltale signs that we could look out for as caretakers. Is the child behaving the way they used to behave? Are they withdrawn? Do they feel anxious? You sense that, they may be mentally unwell, depression, suicidal ideation. And on the long run, there are trust issues and relationship issues. Before we go to the regulatory landscape, I also wanted to point out another way that, I know the topic is extortions, but they also apply to jobs as well. There are online job scams. They have the right website, perfect websites, online presence, even on LinkedIn and other job boards. They offer false job opportunities to young people, and they go ahead to scam them by telling them they need to pay for trainings, they need to clear a check to buy something they need for remote working. So it is very varied. What's the regulatory landscape? We know we've got, new regulations such as the Online Safety Act. We've got the GDPR and data protection that have come into effect to further provide that overarching legal protection when we are online. But again, how effective are these? So the Online Safety Act is a UK law that places legal responsibilities on online services, such as social media platforms, Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat, and search engines to protect users from harmful content. The goal of this is to make these companies more responsible for user safety, particularly for children. How do they do that? Increase company accountability, protection against intimate image abuse, proactive measures for child safety. I have shared some of the things that they currently do. I know, for instance, WhatsApp has the option for disappearing messages. WhatsApp has the option for view once messages alone. Most of the social media platforms now have a place where you can report. There's a report button, if you feel like you're being blackmailed. They have those options, but are these really enough in the long run? GDPR and data protection bill. The GDPR, it says that children under 16 need parental consent for data processing, data minimization, collect only the data needed for processing purposes, the right to be forgotten for minors. While all of these things are great, regulations are nothing without enforcement. So the real question is, how many platforms have actually been fined? how many predators have been prosecuted? And more importantly, how many of these children know their digital rights? It's all about the enforcement. How are we improving enforcement? It's great to have those laws, but without enforcement, it's nothing. So moving beyond the regulation, how can we further help protect these young ones? It starts with awareness. Awareness is everything. That is the foundation. Do they even know their rights? How do you recognize that you are entering into murky waters with whoever you're chatting with online? There are red flags we can help these young ones know. When they get too good to be true offers, when, somebody is becoming when someone is trying to build emotional trust too quickly, urgency tactics, isolation requests, sexual conversations and sexual image exchanges very early on in the conversation. These are some of the things that we need to prepare our young ones to look out for. Especially if sometimes when the person refuses to even meet face to face. How about we encourage them to try to meet people face to face as well? Understanding how platforms make money. The truth about this is that every platform, data is the new oil, like we've heard people say. Everything thrives on data now. The whole world is data driven. It's all about selling data. The EU AI Act is looking at a way to commoditize data as well. So everything is about data. So if we can help people begin to understand that your data is not just something, it is gold. It needs to be protected. Data is gold in this time and age. It needs to be protected. Be careful what you put online. Be careful what you allow, to get. Be careful of the consent you give online. How can they spot scams, grammar mistakes? Because most of these scammers belong to small groups of criminal organizations, or sometimes the larger global criminal organization, and their operations are mainly in third world countries. So there might be grammar mistakes. You can spot a scam, pressure tactics, requests for personal information. The school has a responsibility. Our schools have a responsibility as well. Digital teaching, integrating digital citizenship in every subject, helping them understand their data, helping them understand responsible use of the digital space, helping them understand ethical use of the digital space as well in a way that fosters trust and safety for themselves and for whoever they're interacting with. Role-playing exercises that deal with practical scenarios, not just theory. And it will be great if we have more teens that have been exposed to these, teaching other teens as well. Communication. Regular check-ins, not just interrogations. African parents are very guilty of this. We are more interrogative, but that will not necessarily work in this time and age. We need to have regular check-ins with our kids, especially as they grow into teenagers. It needs to be more conversational than instructional. Judgment-free zones where they feel their homes or their caretakers, not just a home in school, are safe spaces for them to run to when they are in trouble. So we need to have judgment-free zones, even within our communities, not just at home or in school, even within the communities. Family media agreements has to be collaborative, not punitive. You can't say, because of this you're grounded. That ship has kind of sailed. We need to find new ways to help our kids technology, parental control, especially if you have younger ones, it's important to monitor what they are doing. And, a lot of apps now have parental controls where they would say they're quite weak, but it's an attempt. Put the age of your parents or the year your parents was born. But even we as parents, we need to be able to restrict what some of our young ones watch or access online. Privacy settings, set them to maximum protection. Again, restrict the way your data is being collected, processed, or shared. You have to thank God for the GDPR. You have the power in your hands. Reporting mechanisms, one-click reporting for suspicious activity. So these are some of the ways that we can enforce protection for our young ones. Now, what does that mean practically? For parents, we are the digital detectives. So there's a safe framework, which means it's not just about limiting screen time, which a lot of parents are guilty of. We feel we need to say, just 2 hours on the screen. It's beyond that, because within those 2 hours, a lot can be done. So it's screen time with purpose. Again, we need to monitor closely what they access. Access to their digital world. Don't be a stranger. So we need to be more familiar with Roblox, the different things that they use, and not just knowing it by name, but getting in there to see what happens there. Frequent conversations. I'm just going to add frequent friendly conversations about online experiences. We also need to set up, in quotes, we also need to be able to help them know certain safety protocols when things go wrong. For instance, if you ever feel harassed, you could call mommy, no matter who threatens you. You can call your mom, call dad. If mom or dad is not available, these are other trusted individuals. Set up protocols, or call the 999, we need to have those emergency protocols established with our kids. So, like I said, audit your child's app, understand how it works, look at what they have, understand how it works, create a family password so they don't have, that may be tricky for teenagers anyway, but they don't have their own unique passwords. So we have a family password that anyone can access. And I believe if we help them understand why those passwords are important for safety, they may be willing. Establish check-in rituals. Tell me about your day online. What happened? Who did you chat with on Roblox? Who did you chat with on this app? What are they like? Just have that friendly conversation. Practice response scenario. So paint a scenario for them and ask them, what will you do? Sometimes we try to shield our kids too much, but this is happening. It's real. People are dying. So we need to be able to, paint the scenarios for them and help them understand response actions in such instances. For educators, they are the digital guardians. So analyze persuasive techniques in scam messages. We need to be familiar with that. How they social engineer these kids. They need to be familiar with the ways they persuade them, with the ways they encourage them or hype them. They need to be familiar with all of those things. Okay? Compare modern scams to historical cons. The truth is, the goal of crime is always the same thing. For destruction, for theft. So the face may have changed, but the motive is always the same. So how can we learn from things that happened in the past and apply it to what is currently happening? Okay? For tech, there are other school-wide initiatives we could carry out, such as peer support networks, like I mentioned earlier, where we have, younger people closer to their age, enlightening them about online safety and online dangers, regular digital wellness checks. For tech professionals, the important thing here is privacy by design. It's no longer an afterthought. In fact, not just privacy by design, safety by design. When we are designing apps, safety must be at the back of our minds when we are designing apps. Who will use these apps? How can we make it safe for them? And that's what some of these social media platforms have started doing. age-appropriate interfaces, different experiences for different ages. That is such a strong one, because if you indicate you are 15, for instance, there's some things that should not be permitted or you should not be able to do on that app. So having age-appropriate interfaces will help. Proactive detection. How can we deploy AI to help detect grooming language as well? Those are things that the tech community needs to start looking at. Transparent algorithms show users why they are seeing certain content. Time is fast spent, so I'm just going to rush. I'm almost done though. A societal solution. As a society, what can we do? Because it takes, there's a saying in Africa, it takes a village to raise a child. So it's not just the individual, just the parents or the school. It's everyone. So, like I mentioned, tech companies, it's not just about your profits. It has to be profit with purpose. We have young ones to protect. Law enforcement, we need specialized crime units for such digital crimes. Mental health services, we should have sections for, people that have been sextorted. Community organizations, safety shops, local digital safety workshops that offer support as well. Together, we can put consumer pressure on some of these social media platforms. So we can create community actions such as voting with your downloads and data, advocacy groups that support organizations fighting for digital rights, political engagement. How can we demand enforcement of these regulations? We have so many of them, and more are coming up. How can we actually demand better enforcement? And making digital safety cool is something that should really be at the forefront of all our initiatives. So despite the risks, there's a lot of positive progress. It's not all doom and gloom. In schools, Gen Alpha kids, in schools like some places in Finland, Gen Alpha kids are now teaching each other digital skills, showing how digital natives can become digitally wise. Here in the UK, we have Friends Against Scams, Young Friends. So this is an initiative by the National Trading Standards Scams team. They have resources and interactive workshops that they deliver in schools and youth groups to educate children and young people about different types of scams, how to spot them, and how to protect themselves and their families. The Friends status encourages individuals to spread this awareness within their communities. There are other initiatives as well. There's ChildNet Digital Leaders Program, youth advisory boards and youth voice initiatives, and of course, school and community programs like you shared earlier on. So there really is hope because people are taking action, and I hope that we will all rise up in our own individual ways to take more action towards online safety for our young ones. So yeah, the choice is before us. We stand at the crossroads. Do we let our young ones, our children, navigate this digital Wild West on their own, or are we choosing to become the digital guides, to protect them, to build a safer digital future? The choice is ours. I believe that with everything we've discussed here today, that we will go out individually to have at least one real conversation with a young person about their online experience to really get to understand what it is like for them, how they navigate it. This week, we're entering into a new week. I hope we will commit to learning about one platform our children use. It could be your nephew, it could be a student in your class if you're an educator. And this month, think of how you can implement one safety measure for that young person or within your school as applicable. And you can choose to become an advocate for digital safety in your community. Hopefully, the goal is to raise a generation that's not just digitally skilled, but digitally wise. Not just connected, but protected. Not just online, but truly safe. So we can have less Lukes and less Ryans. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer questions if you have any. And here are some key resources that could help if you choose to take action.